So what we're going to look at now is the circle. There are two equations that you need to know at ordinary level for the circle. We're going to write them both down. These are two questions that we'll get as a sample. Now the first thing you will do in every single circle question, you need to find the centre and you need to find the radius. Pretty much every question that's ever come up, they are the two things that you need to look out for. Now your first equation is in your log tables and it's x minus h to be squared plus y minus k to be squared equals r squared. And that's an equation that's in your log tables that we need to get familiar with, and we need to recognise this line as being a circle and being in that format. The other one we have isn't in our log tables, but we can learn it off and it's quite easy. So all it is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Now, just focus on the one on the left to begin with. You have x minus h to be squared plus y minus k to be squared equals r squared. And we need to find the centre and the radius. Now, the centre is going to be h comma k. They're the two letters that we use to represent the centre. So what we'll notice here is I have minus h is lining up with minus 1 and minus k is lining up with plus 4. Now note that I've included the signs in front of the 1 as minus and the one in front of the h is a minus. I'm including them. So I would say minus h equals minus 1 and I would say minus k equals 4. So that would be h equals 1 and k equals minus 4, which means your centre to this is going to be h comma k 1 comma minus 4. And that will be your answer for the centre. Now your radius to this is actually quite easy as well, and it's the same as the other version. You just know that r squared equals 25. So you will say r squared equals 25. The opposite of a squared is the square root, so r equals square root 25. Or equals 5. And that's all we'll have to do for that one. Now, the second one that we have is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. The important part about this one is it looks easier. It is easier. And all it is your circle actually has a centre 0, 0. So whenever it's in this format, x squared, y squared, we instantly know that our centre is going to be equal to 0, 0. Now, that's a 0. The other thing then we look for is the radius, and we already did this just here. Your radius is just r squared equals 81. So that means r squared equals 81, or equals root 81. So r equals 9 on our calculator. So the square root of that is 9. So your centre is 0, 0, and your radius is equal to 9. Now this is our next question. With this question, I would say it's one of the more difficult questions that can come up on a circle. And again, similar to our differentiation videos that we have, we're seeing this word again come up, tangent. And whenever we see that, we know tangent is just a type of line. And we know it's just a type of line. We know that we're going to have to use y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1 at some stage in this question. So that would be my advice, is to underline the word tangent, write line underneath it, and write out your equation for a line. That shows that we know where we're going and we have our formulas ready to go. Now it says, find the equation of the tangent to the circle x squared plus y squared equals 13 at the point 3 comma minus 2. So let's just draw this out. If we've watched the start of the video correct, we would know that x squared plus y squared equals 13. That is a circle with a centre 0, 0. So we'll just draw it out. We have a centre here. 0, 0, and we're going to have a circle that goes around it and has a radius. R squared is 13, so it has a radius of root 13. Now, a radius of root 13 won't give us a straight answer, so it's roughly 3.6 meters, or units. So roughly 1, 2, 3, and that would be 4. So it's roughly around there, 3.6. And then we have the point 3 comma 2, which would be 1, 2, 3. 3 comma 2 is roughly there. So what this question is asking us is find the equation of the tangent to this circle at this point. So they want us to figure out the equation of this line. Now, if we're ever in doubt around a circle question, it is useful to draw it out and just get a rough idea of what it looks like. So again, in order to get this, we want to get the equation of this tangent, or the equation of the line. We need a coordinate, which would be y1 and x1, and we need the slope. Now the coordinate, we're fortunate, we already have it. That would be x1, that would be y1. So how are we going to get the slope? Now the slope is really, really important. We say this is 0, 0. Because I know my centre is 0, 0. Now I'm able to figure out the slope of that line. So this bit of the video is the most important. It's the next 2-3 minutes or so. So if you want to find the equation of a tangent to a circle, you need to find the slope, the m of the radius. So let's work on that first. You're finding the slope of the radius. Now slope formula is from our log tables, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's fill this in. We have x1, y1, x2, y2. So this would be y2 is 0 minus y1 minus 2 over x2, which is 0 minus x1 minus 3. So this would go to 2 over minus 3. Now we don't usually have a minus underneath sign, so the slope of the radius equals minus 2 over 3. And these both mean the same things. We just tend to either have the minus sign with the 2 or the minus sign in front. So that's step 1. We now have the slope of this line here. So let's look at the slope 2. So your second slope to this is going, or not your second slope, your slope of the tangent. Okay, so this is your second step. You want to find the slope of the tangent, which is the orange line. Now, a rule that we need to learn off is that a radius and a tangent always make 90 degrees, no matter where they're situated. If you had one that was going up along here somewhere, that would also make 90 degrees there. But we're worried more about the orange one at the moment. So you need to make a perpendicular, okay, perpendicular slope. So to do this, you flip it and you change the sign. So flipping this would be 3 over minus 2, but we change the sign. So instead of it being a minus, it's now a positive. So your slope of the tangent is 3 over 2. Now, tangent back up to here, we already said we have the point, we have a y1, we have this one. We now have our slope. Our slope is 3 over 2. So let's come across here and we're going to do the maths involved in this. So it's y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1, where you have your slope 3 comma minus 2, because that's on the line. Don't use your 0, 0, that's not on the orange line. And you have your m, which we calculated out to be 3 over 2. So y minus, now I should have labeled these x1, y1, y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. Now we're going to say y minus minus 2, so that would be y plus 2. So y plus 2 equals 3 over 2 into x minus 3. Now we've kind of moved away from the line a little, or the circle a little bit, and we're now on the line. So in order to do this bit, what we need to do is we'll take this 2, comes up here to get rid of the fraction, and it will be 2 multiplied by y plus 2 equals 3 into x minus 3. 2y plus 4 equals 3x minus 9. So that was this times this, and multiplied by. Now we're going to give this in the form ax plus by plus c equals 0. So let's say we're going to bring them all to this side, because we have 3x. This would come over, minus 2y, minus 9, minus 4 equals 0. And then you have 3x minus 2y minus 13 equals 0. Just there. That is your equation of a tangent, your equation of a line to this circle, which I've drawn out at this point. This point we had to figure out what the slope was. We did that by finding the slope of the radius. The slope of a tangent will always be perpendicular to the radius, and then just summing it in to your equation to get your answer for the tangent. So this question is a difficult circle question, and it came up on the Leaving Cert, and what it does is it crosses over algebra with circle questions that we should know. So it says 1 comma k is on the circle, find 2 values of k. Now the difficult part about this question, again, was that we don't know this value. The good bit about the question is that it is on the circle. So whenever you see this, if it says on a circle or on a line, all you need to do is sub in. So if you have 1 comma k is on the circle, find two values, and this being the circle, we just sub it in, and we sub it in as this being x and k being y in many ways. So we would say it's 1 minus 1 to be squared plus y, which is k, plus 4 to be squared equals 25. Now that's all we actually have to do with respects to the circle. From now on, the whole way down is just going to be algebra. So 1 minus 1 is 0, so that's 0 squared, plus k plus 4 to be squared, so we'll have to come back to that, and 25. So 0 squared is, if we type it into your calculator, just going to give you 0. So we can forget about that. So it's k plus 4 to be squared equals 25. So let's do the only thing we can do and just start to multiply this out. So we're going to write this out twice. K plus 4 equals 25. Now we're going to split this to be k multiplied by k plus 4 multiplied by k plus 4 equals 25. And let's go k squared plus 4k plus 4k plus 16 equals 25. So that would be k squared plus 8k. Now plus 16 minus 25, so that would be 16 minus 25 would be minus 9 equals 0. So again, I just brought that over in my head and said 16 minus 25. Now this bit of the question is very easy for all of us, and some of us are already noticing it, some of us maybe not. If I were to draw it out as x squared plus 8x minus 9 equals 0, I think more of us would see that as a minus b formula. So this is a quadratic. Anytime we have a squared, it's going to be a quadratic. So let's try it with this. We're going to use our minus b formula. You can do your t method if you prefer that, but I think most of us prefer the minus b. So a would equal 1, which is there. B would equal 8, which is there. And c would equal minus 9. So your minus b formula, I'll write it here, is minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this would be minus b minus 8 plus or minus square root 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 9 all over 2 times 1. Now, you are absolutely allowed to type that straight into your calculator. Often what I do find with students is when you do type that in, we get a math error or an error 1 or a syntax error, and we don't get our correct answer out. So I'd recommend doing a little bit of tidying up before we type it into the calculator. So I would say minus 8 plus or minus the square root. 8 squared is going to give you 64. So I do 64 minus 4 times 1 times minus 9 plus 36 all over 2. And I do one more line, plus or minus square root of this plus that is going to be 100 all over 2. And now I would split it up into two separate ones. So I would say one of them is going to be minus 8 plus square root of 100 over 2. The other one is going to be minus 8 minus root 100 over 2. And we'll type both of these into your calculator. So you do your fraction button first usually. Minus 8 plus square root 100 over 2. 1 is the answer, so k equals 1. And then we can change this to a minus, and k equals minus 9. So they are your two values. For k is going to be 1 and minus 9. The main takeaway method from that is when you see the word sub in, when you see the word is on, you just need to sub it in. After this step here, everything below this was just algebra. There wasn't necessarily anything that was unique to the circle right down to the end. So we had our subbing in, our multiplying out. We then realized we had a squared, so it had to be a quadratic, which means we used the minus b formula. And then you got your two values for k.